Definition of blockchain. Over the recent years, blockchain has been one of the most known emerging technologies being used by different companies across various industries worldwide. So what is it about blockchain that makes it a revolutionary technology? What can it do and why is it important? In order to answer all those questions, let's start first with the basics. So what is blockchain?
Blockchain is simply put as a chain of blocks that contain data. It is primarily defined as a shared, unchangeable record of data linked to each other by secured cryptography using distributed ledger technology.
History of blockchain. Before the implementation of the actual technology, did you know that the concept of a shared record keeping was actually established even before our time?
Back in 500 AD, the people of the Micronesian island of Yap used large circular stones that weighed up to 4 metric tons as currency. The first recorded example of a distributed or decentralized ledger was created here. The villagers kept ownership of these face stones mentally and shared this knowledge with everyone. They also shared all transactions with everyone in the village. If there was anyone who tried to wrongfully claim ownership of a stone, the majority of the villagers would contest it and say who owned it based on their memory. This was probably one of the earliest forms of blockchain, except it was kept between people instead of computers. As you can see, the concept of a distributed ledger was already conceived during this time, wherein every time an exchange happens, it is broadcasted to the community so everyone knows exactly the details of the transaction. In 1982, the Byzantine generals problem was introduced by Lampard, Shostak, and Peace. The Byzantine generals problem is a simple issue of trust where allied generals can't be assured if the other generals will attack with them or retreat because they are in different locations. Communications can be intercepted or falsified, and there can also be generals that are traitors. This makes it difficult for the group to decide if they should attack or retreat in a unified manner. So a system was designed with this issue in mind to validate information through multiple processes, which all come into agreement by a majority consensus that the information presented is correct. This allows the entire system to move forward with a decision while having high confidence in the outcome. Byzantine fault tolerance is simply a characteristic of a system that tolerates or is resistant to system-wide failure if a minority of its parts fail, get corrupted, or are cut off from the system entirely. Information is sent to all relevant subsystems so that the majority of these systems can confirm if there is faulty data coming from specific sources. As long as the majority of the subsystems have the correct information or data, then the system can continue to operate. Boeing uses Byzantine fault tolerance in its systems for air management and flight control. Submarines have been tested for Byzantine faults, and SpaceX has also considered it in their systems. Then in 2008, one of the biggest financial crises crippled countries all over the world when large banks and other institutions filed for bankruptcy, resulting in an economic recession. Speculations arose as this event motivated the creation of another form of currency. An anonymous web user with the name of Satoshi Nakamoto published the white paper named Bitcoin, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. Bitcoin's white paper outlines what Bitcoin is, popularized the use of cryptographic hashing, and how blockchain technology works. This is one of the most historical events about blockchain, which became the pioneer of the increased use of the technology. Bitcoin is a purely peer-to-peer system created so that electronic cash payments can be sent directly from one party to another without going through a financial institution. A year after, Bitcoin, a decentralized cryptocurrency, is created and released as open source, and the first Genesis block is made. A major problem that Bitcoin solved is the double spending issue that exists in a peer-to-peer network. Double spending is an issue that can happen in digital cash, wherein the token can be spent twice. Blockchain technology solved this through a combination of cryptography and creating a record that cannot be changed or altered through proof of work. Bitcoin's usage and value has soared since it started, and there are many establishments and people that accept Bitcoin as payment. Bitcoin's consensus model has not been hacked or compromised after being in operation for a full decade. One setback for Bitcoin's model is that it only allows for very few transactions per second compared to other platforms. Developers are trying to develop blockchain platforms that are still secure, but allow for more transactions per second so that it can be more widely adopted. Then in 2011, the first spin-off of Bitcoin was implemented. Litecoin or altcoin is one of the many spin-offs created from Bitcoin. Many other altcoins have been made since then. After 2 years, Vitalik Buterin published a white paper on Ethereum. Ethereum introduced the concept of using smart contracts and allows developers to create decentralized applications on blockchain. In 2015, other types of blockchain platforms such as Hyperledger and Ethereum went live, making it available for the general public. It was evident that the public adoption of blockchain was on the rise with over 28 million blockchain wallet users worldwide, according to Statista. Although blockchain's first use case was Bitcoin, it shouldn't be misunderstood that Bitcoin is blockchain and blockchain is Bitcoin. One is simply the underlying technology of the other.
Distinguishing Bitcoin from blockchain. Now let's break down one of the biggest misconceptions on blockchain, that Bitcoin and blockchain are one and the same. So let's discuss the distinction of each one, starting with Bitcoin. So what is Bitcoin?
The white paper for Bitcoin released in 2008 by Satoshi Nakamoto defines it as a peer-to-peer electronic cash system that can send currency directly to another person without a third party, bank, or financial institution acting as in between.
This avoids double spending, lowering costs of transactions to allow micropayments that would otherwise not be allowed due to the transaction fees from financial institutions.
Bitcoin is an electronic currency often referred to as cryptocurrency. There are no physical Bitcoins. You cannot touch them or download them. Bitcoin ownership and transactions are recorded on a blockchain network.
After Bitcoin was created, developers realized that the underlying blockchain technology that enables Bitcoin can be used for other things aside from cryptocurrency. Blockchain is simply a decentralized, distributed, and immutable record and data storage system. Bitcoin is the first use case of blockchain, and its purpose was to create a digital currency and payment system that bypasses existing financial institutions. But now there are many other use cases of blockchain being developed. Think of it as how the internet is the underlying technology of applications we use right now, such as Facebook, Google, Instagram, and etc. The same goes with Bitcoin as just one of the many applications running on blockchain. Blockchains are mostly being used for certifications, transfer of ownership of real-world things, tokenization, and identification. Blockchain platforms like Ethereum allows developers to create decentralized apps for chatting, sharing information, and even games. You're probably wondering if Bitcoin has the same properties as traditional money. Does Bitcoin have value? Back when Bitcoin was in its early stages, Laszlo Haniek offered to pay for 2 Papa John pizzas, with 10,000 Bitcoins, making it the first Bitcoin transaction. At the time, the Bitcoins were worth around $41 and the pizzas were worth $25. Fast forward to 10 years later, May 22, 2020, those 10,000 Bitcoins were worth over $98 million in value. So does Bitcoin have the same properties as traditional money? The answer is yes. But why does Bitcoin, an electronic currency, have value? There are basic properties that determine if something like Bitcoin can be used as money or currency. It has to be a medium for exchange, a common ground for determining value, and it must be accepted widely enough as payment for goods and services. It has to be a unit of account. Money must have a consistent and accurate unit of account. It has to serve as a store of value. Money must last a long enough period of time to be held and used when needed. A piece of fruit cannot be used as money because it will rot quickly. In other words, money must be
Fungible. One unit of value can be interchanged with another. Durable. The item must withstand being used repeatedly. Divisible. It must be able to divide into smaller units of value. Portable. The ability to carry the money and transfer it to others. Acceptable. Everyone must be able to use the money for transactions. Uniform. All versions of the same denomination must have the same purchasing power. Limited supply. The supply of money in circulation ensures that the value remains more consistent. Bitcoin has all these qualities. Fungible. Each Bitcoin is equivalent in value to each other. Durable. Bitcoin does not degrade over the 10 years of stability that the Bitcoin system has shown that it is here to stay. As long as there's the internet, then Bitcoin will exist. Divisible. A Bitcoin can be divided down to 1 over 100 million, and this unit is called a Satoshi. Portable. Bitcoin transactions are easily done over the peer-to-peer network. They have no weight or mass. Acceptable. There are over 7 million active Bitcoin users, and there are also businesses that accept Bitcoin payments such as Microsoft. There are also other platforms that allow you to spend Bitcoin with them to purchase services and goods with other platforms. Uniform. Each Bitcoin or smaller unit of Bitcoin has the same purchasing power. There's nothing that makes one Bitcoin less valuable than another. Limited supply. The Bitcoin system ensures that only 21 million Bitcoins can ever be created. One more thing that could arguably boost Bitcoin's value as currency is censorship resistance. Since there is no regulating body that oversees Bitcoin, the wealth cannot simply be seized or cut off. A government cannot simply lock you out of your Bitcoin wallet like they can with your credit card or bank account.
People can maintain control of their Bitcoins through cryptography and cryptographic hashing. The transaction records for Bitcoin cannot be altered or manipulated due to it being on a large blockchain, and cryptography ensures that transactions are secured. Only you can control the use of your Bitcoins. Bitcoin learnings. Bitcoin has been running over 10 years, and we've learned that the blockchain technology has proven the stability of its decentralized and distributed solution. It has also shown us that an unregulated and trustless system can work. Trustless simply means that you do not have to rely on the person on the other end of the transaction because the system handles the issues of trust that a third party otherwise would manage. Initial blockchain technology has also shown us the durability of the system and how resistant it is to being hacked or tampered with due to its proof-of-work consensus system. We also learned that the earlier implementations of blockchain are also quite slow and have difficulty scaling due to being able to do 7 transactions per second. Smaller transactions on older blockchains might take longer to be added to the ledger. This is why new blockchain technology is being developed that is faster and more scalable. Another issue is with the scalability of ledger file size of blockchain 1.0. As of the making of this program, the ledger of Bitcoin is at 250 gigabytes. Now that we've uncovered what Bitcoin is and how blockchain is powering the application, let's discuss further what blockchain is.